We're going to pull back the curtain on North Korea today. You know, when you see it on a satellite map at night, it's pretty much just a black hole. We're going to explore what it's really like to live under one of the world's most terrifying and controlling dictatorships.
You know, sometimes the best way to understand a place like North Korea isn't through political analysis. It's through the words of people who have actually lived its harshest realities. This quote here is from Shin Dong-hyuk, a man who was born inside a political prison camp. And his words, they really set the stage for the world we're about to explore.
So Shin's story, it starts in a place that's just hard to even imagine. He was born inside this camp, and his entire childhood was just about survival. We're talking eating grass and rats just to stay alive. Then, when he was only 13, he did something unthinkable. He told the guards about his own mother and brother's plan to escape, hoping for a little more food. He was then forced to watch them be publicly executed. It's just horrific. His own escape years later is the only reason we even know his story.
So you might be asking, why was Shin born in a prison camp in the first place? Well, the answer is this terrifying concept, guilt by association. This is the absolute cornerstone of the state's control. Shin's uncle had fled to South Korea, and for that crime, his entire family was condemned. You see, you get punished not for what you did, but for who you're related to.
And this is the part that's it's just devastating. The scale of it. It isn't one person paying the price. The supposed disloyalty of just one person can completely erase a family's future for 3 whole generations. Think about that. A grandfather's crime means his own grandson can be born, live his entire life, and then die in a prison camp. Okay, so let's zoom out from Shin's incredible story for a second and look at the bigger picture, the nationwide system that makes a life like his possible. The government's goal is total, absolute control over every single aspect of its citizens' lives. It's a society where individual choice is, well, it's pretty much non-existent.
Your career path? Yeah, that's not your choice. It's an assignment. Your family's political standing, something called songbun, decides what job you get. You don't pick your work, the government picks it for you.
And it's the same deal for where you live. Your home, your city, all determined by the government. The capital, Pyongyang, that's reserved only for the most loyal. It's like a carefully curated showcase city. If you're deemed hostile, you're kept far, far away.
The control, it gets really personal. So personal, in fact, that the state literally dictates your hairstyle. There are just 15 state-approved styles for men and 15 for women. Oh, and the leader's own haircut? Totally forbidden for everybody else, of course. Now, what's really interesting here is how completely normal, everyday things are seen as dangerous. We're talking blue jeans, red lipstick, hair dye. They're considered a capitalist invasion, a threat to the socialist way of life that has to be policed by, you guessed it, a literal fashion police.
So what happens if you break these rules? What if you get caught wearing the wrong thing or, say, watching a foreign movie? Well, the punishment is swift, it's severe, and it is designed to make you absolutely terrified of stepping out of line.
And this is where we get back to the camps. They're the hidden backbone of the regime's power. According to estimates, something like 120,000 people are currently locked away in these modern-day gulags. They're subjected to forced labor, starvation, torture. Some reports say that about 40% of the prisoners die from hunger alone.
And this table just lays it all out, doesn't it? The huge difference between an already incredibly difficult life and the absolute hell inside those prison camps. For an ordinary citizen, life is tough and restricted. For a political prisoner, it's a constant fight for survival, working 18-hour days in mines with almost no food.
How do you maintain a system like this? You build it on distrust. The secret police have created a society where neighbors, friends, and even relatives are encouraged to inform on each other. It completely destroys the bonds between people and makes sure that no one feels safe enough to speak freely, even inside their own home. But this system of total control, it actually started to crack. And the challenge, you might be surprised to hear, didn't come from some political uprising. It came from a catastrophic economic collapse that forced people to either adapt or die.
So back in the 1990s, the state-run economy just completely collapsed. Government food rations stopped, and millions of people were facing starvation. And guess who stepped up? Women. They created these illegal black markets called jang, and today they generate over 70% of the average family's income.
So these markets, they were born out of pure desperation. They started as just a way to sell a little food to survive. But they grew and evolved into something the government just couldn't control anymore. They became the lifeblood of the North Korean people.
And here's the twist. These markets, they don't just trade food and household goods. They trade in the one thing the regime fears more than anything else: information. The truth about the outside world started seeping in through the cracks that these markets created.
So you have to wonder, right? In a country with basically no internet, where all the TV and radio is state-controlled, how are people learning what the world is really like? How are they breaking through decades of intense propaganda?
Well, the answer is surprisingly low-tech, but it's incredibly effective. We're talking about smuggled USB sticks, tiny little things, and cheap Chinese video players called notels. These devices are loaded with South Korean TV dramas, Hollywood movies, foreign music, a vision of life that is completely, totally different from what they've been told.
And don't just take my word for it. The data is pretty shocking. When you look at studies of people who've managed to defect, 81% of them said they had access to these USBs. And get this, a staggering 98% of those contained illegal foreign media. This stuff is shattering the government's carefully constructed lies.
Just try to put yourself in their shoes for a second. Your entire life, you're told that your country is the best in the world, and everyone else out there is suffering. Then, one night, you secretly watch a South Korean drama, and you see people living in modern apartments, driving cars, falling in love freely. For the first time, people are seeing that the suffering they were told was universal is actually just happening in their own country.
This new market economy has also led to something else: widespread corruption. Bribery has become a way of life. And so people aren't as afraid of the rules anymore, because they know almost any illegal activity, from wearing jeans to watching a foreign movie, is possible as long as you can bribe the right official. It's undermining the very foundation of the state's authority.
You know, learning about a place where every single choice is controlled by the state, what you wear, what you watch, even who you trust, it really leaves us with a final, crucial question to think about. In a world where we have so many choices, what does the freedom to make them truly mean?